Jaipur is one of those impulse slash spur of the moment buys that I make on my friendly local game store. I just see the game, it looks interesting, I don't know much or anything about it, and I just buy it. And very often I regret doing that, but then I still do it, so I don't know what's going on there. Luckily enough, Jaipur for once sort of like broke the curse because I did buy it without knowing much about it, but it turned out to be really good. One negative thing, or at least one limitation, is that it worked for 2 players only, so there is that. But as long as it works with play with your partner, play with your spouse, in one of those situations, then of course 2 players is precisely what you need. But there are other cases in which you will want more players and will choose another game. This one is for 2. Jaipur, very nice box, nice presentation. The rules are really short and simple and well laid out, and just the presentation, as I said, in the box is really nice. Here you have these tokens that represent various types of goods that the players will be trading. For example, here we have a ladder, and as you can see, these tokens have different values, and you stack them in decreasing value. Best on top, lowest values at the bottom. Here we have diamonds, silk, and so on and so forth. So at the beginning of the game, you take these tokens out. Also, we have some special tokens that will be assigned to players that make particularly good trades. As you can see, some of these have 5 cards on the back, some 4 and some 3, and we'll explain later what that means. So you separate the tokens, put them out like that, and then the cards. The cards are pretty much the heart of the game, really. Cards represent goods, the same goods that you see there, or camels. So at the beginning of the game, you take 3 camels out in a line, then you shuffle the remaining cards, and you give a hand of cards to each player. Then you also draw 2 cards to put out in a row, just like so. So what happens during the game? During the game, when it is your turn, you can do one of several things. You can take all camels that are out there and you put them face up in front of you. Also, if you have camels in your hand at the beginning of the game, also you put them out like that. And in this case, then the market is refilled with cards from the deck. You take all the camels. You don't take just some of them. Or what you can do is to simply take one card, any one card from the market within your hand. In this case, the card is replaced by a card from the deck. Or you can trade cards. Suppose now I want to take this other card, and then, well, suppose after a couple of times that I've taken cards, this is my hand. Another thing that I can do is to trade cards from my hand to the market, in which case I take cards from my hand and or from my herd of camels and trade, say this is my situation, and I trade an equal number. For example, I want to do this. I want to trade these 4 cards. I take these 4 cards and I put an equal number there. And these are the 3 ways in which you acquire cards. Take a single one, trade any number, take all the camels. And of course you will also want to at some point sell these cards. You can sell them in sets. You can even sell a single one, with the exception of the most valuable goods that are gold, diamond, and silver. Those you need to have a minimum of 2. When you sell a set, you discard it, and you take a number of tokens for the corresponding pile equal to the number of cards you discarded. Say I sell a set of 2 gold, I discard it, and I take the 2 tokens here on top, which are pretty good. Or say I decide to discard a set of 3 spices, then I take these 3 on top. As you can see, after you start taking, the remaining ones will have lower values. So sometimes you see that the opponent is gonna grab like a lot, and the one there's on top, and I have single one, may not be the best play, but I immediately play it. At least I take this one, because I know that then when you go, you'll take a lot of those, and I'll be left with a silly 1. Then my single card will be worth 1 instead of 5. So timing is very important. Figuring out what the opponent is trying to do is very important. If when you sold goods, you sold at least 3, then you take a marker from these like bonus markers. With 3, you take a marker from this pile, 4 and 5. And these tokens have a value of extra points that they will give you at the end of the round. And of course, the 5 tokens have better value than the 4 card tokens and the 3 card tokens. And this is in essence the game. The game continues until the end of a round, and a round ends when 3 types of goods have been depleted, or when there are no cards left in the draw deck to replenish the market. At the point you end the round, players count how many points they have from their goods, from their bonus tokens. The player that has the most camels at the point also gets this token, which is worth 5 points, and at that point, the player with the highest total gets one of these seals of excellence, and the first player to acquire 2 will be the winner of the game. That means pretty much whoever wins 2 rounds out of 3. And this is Jaipur. This is Jaipur, simplicity itself, but I must say a fairly good game. I mean, I actually I enjoyed it. I found it to be very simple, which it is, and that's probably gonna be too light for the hardcore gamers, for the gamers, the one only the gamers game. But as a filler, you know, as a game that you may play between other games, or you're waiting for other players to be done with the longer games that they're playing during the game night, or simply as a light and short game that you play with your spouse. Before I had kids, my wife and I spent whole weekends playing 2-player games, or at least just me and her playing. They didn't have to be 2-player games only, and they had the 2-player options. We had some marathons of Carcassonne, like, oh my gosh, we spent like all Saturday, day and night. Different age, different time. I see how, if I had discovered this game back then, because it has been up for a couple of years, this could have been a game that I could have played with my wife for hours on end, because it's simple, quick, but it has just enough meat to keep me interested, just enough to keep me playing. And that meat comes from the fact that there's still a couple of decisions that you have to make that matter. Again, none it is abysmally deep, but they matter, and that may just be enough sometimes. For example, the timing, as I said, I see what you're trying to do, and that tells me what is going to be the value of my cards after you go next time. So I want to make sure that I get something, I use some of my cards before the value decreases dramatically. Or, well, I would like to take a lot of camels that are there, but then if I take them, there are gonna be a lot of cards that they're gonna replenish that. If I take 3 cards, 3 new cards are gonna be revealed, and maybe that will reveal some very valuable cards. And now it's your turn. So darn, I just gave you a huge opportunity. There are just ways like that. Or, for example, then I want other cards, then I am getting the market cluttered with camels, and then you have to take them, and then I get to take a lot of cards, because, well, I get to have first pick from all the cards that will be revealed. And again, and there are times where I would like to get a card, but the fact that if I get a card, a single card, without trading, is going to be replenished, again, that may give you a very valuable card. So sometimes I have to be torn between taking the card that will let me do exactly what I want to do, or trading, which means to give up something that I wouldn't mind keeping so that the market is not replenished. So this manipulation of which cards will be added to the market is a small thing. I would say is really the pivotal idea around which the whole design seems to move, but it works. Again, sometimes with a light, simple, elegant game, that's just all that matters. So timing, managing resources, reading the opponent. And reading the opponent is not going to be like a mastermind thing. It's not going to give you a headache because I see the cards that you're taking. But still, with memory and knowing what the opponent does, paying just enough attention to remember what the opponent has in their hand, then again, you have enough material to digest and to make the experience interesting. So very nice design, simple, linear, probably will not appeal to everybody precisely because it is so light. But for couples, and especially couples where one of the two is a regular player of games and the other one isn't, which is exactly what happens in my marriage, well, this is the kind of game that would work. Also, it's a game that you can play with kids, precisely because the mechanisms are so simple. They can definitely figure it out. And kids like games where you get stuff, where you collect stuff, where you acquire stuff. I haven't played it with my daughter, with my 6-year-old, but I see how she may enjoy it. Even my 4-year-old actually would be able to play. The complexity is not past her. She wouldn't play it well, but I'm just saying the game is so simple that she could actually play. Jaipur, a game for families, as long as it's very small families without kids, or, you know, 2 members of the family play at a time. But it has the sort of like level of complexity, and it's that friendly, that it's that user-friendly game that may be for families, may be for non-regular players, casual players, or just heavy gamers that from time to time need a game to fill 20 minutes or simply want to take a break from playing Case Blue. Overall, nice, simple, elegant, very good looking, very good production, and overall a very good game. Jaipur.